Hi, I'm Connie Parker with the Parker Foundation, and we are getting ready to start on our second video on our grief series, and today is going to be about friends. But before I get started, I wanted to go back a little bit and just summarize Job and his journey in grief and how he got to where he is, because we're going to be talking about Job's friends, okay? Job started out a wealthy man, righteous man, loved by the Lord. He loved the Lord. And he came under great distress, great anguish, lost everything. To break it down, he lost his oxen, and then his sheep, and then his camels, and then he lost his sons and his daughters. Now, when he lost his oxen, his sheep, and his camels, essentially he lost all his wealth, all the means to provide for his family. And of course it was a great loss, but he was not under duress. He did not tear his robe, shave his head, and put dirt on his head until he lost his children. There's something about when we lose the people that we love that hurts more. We can grieve over so many things in this life. There's so much that we have as Americans that we can lose, but people truly still are our most important treasure. And when we lose people, that's when the deep grief starts to happen. I myself have lost my daughter, so I understand that, but there are many people around us that we love and cherish. So as Job lost his sons and daughters, he was grieving, but he still would not curse God and die. Job actually said, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" Can we just take a minute to appreciate the amazing perspective that this man had, that everything is good from the Lord, and we shouldn't be cursing God when hard things come our way. There's so much more at play here, and Job had perspective of that. Well, after he lost all his wealth, all his resources, all his children, could you imagine all his children? Then he lost his health, and his three friends, I'm not even going to attempt to say their names, but you can find them in Job chapter 2. His three friends heard of all his situational, unfortunate circumstances, and they came to him, and they saw him sitting on the ground mourning, and he was taking a piece of pottery and like scraping his skin because his sores hurt so much, just sitting in the dirt, and his three friends could not even recognize him. And it says that they raised their voices and they just wept. They were just weeping for their friend that they had lost. They just see his anguish and stress, and they felt it. Their compassion was so deep that they started weeping themselves. And then they tore their robes, and then they sprinkled dust on their heads, and then they went and they sat on the ground with Job for 7 days in silence. It says, they sat with him on the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his suffering was very great. He was in mental, physical, emotional, spiritual stress. This man had nothing left. He didn't even have his wife. His wife said, "Why don't you just curse God and die?" And so here come these three friends that don't try to fix his problem. They're just going to be present with him. Sometimes I ask myself, how deep was Job's grief? And scriptures give us a picture of that. So let me share with you what I saw. Job says, "I have no peace, I have no quietness, I have no rest, but only turmoil." This man feels like there is not one good thing in his life. He goes on to say, "What I feared has come upon me. What I dread has happened to me." The worst possible thing that you could ever imagine happening for me would be losing my child. And it happened. Job lost all his children, all his wealth, and his health. He has nothing left to fear. There's nothing left in his life to take. He is at the bottom. So then you think, wow, how does somebody in that headspace feel? He actually cursed the day of his birth. He said, "Why did I not perish at birth? Why is light given to those who long for death?" This is a man who has not cursed God, but he's ready for life on this earth to be done. His anguish is that deep. His despair is that dark. So how can a friend support somebody in this place? Is it even possible? Can somebody even come alongside me when I am in this place? And the answer is yes. Scripture says that a friend can come alongside with you, and it says that mourn with those who mourn and weep with those who weep. So a good friend will come alongside you and just do what you're doing so that you're not alone. It says that love must be sincere. So they must just come to you in sincere compassion, like when his friends saw him and burst out in tears because they so genuinely felt everything that their friend was feeling, that they were feeling it with him. That's all that we need when we're in crisis. We need someone to be there and do it with us, even if it didn't happen to them, so that we're not alone. Scripture also says, be devoted to one another in brotherly love. There is no more love than to just sit somebody in the hardest time. So that's what these friends did. And so I thought about this a little bit more. These friends came and they did a couple things. They sat. They didn't work. They didn't get busy. They didn't try and get Job up. They met him where he was and did what he was doing. They didn't try and change his circumstance. They went into his circumstance. Second, they mourned with him. They didn't try and take away his tears and make him laugh. They cried with him with deep compassion. Sympathy. They felt what he felt. There were no words, but that doesn't mean that you might be in a place where you don't have any words. You might need to communicate what it is that you're feeling and what it is that you're struggling with, and find someone who will listen. Find somebody who will echo that feeling and understand that feeling. Sometimes you just need somebody to be present. Grief is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for the griever. It's almost more uncomfortable for the person who's grieving with you who doesn't understand it. So find somebody who can be comfortable enough to be uncomfortable with you. That is worth its weight in gold. And one of the last things is to be silent. His friends sat on the ground for a week, day and night. I can't even imagine, did they eat? Were they fasting? Did they use the bathroom? I mean, your mind goes, you think, okay, I sat 7 days. Wow. And they were silent. Not a word was spoken because they know that they can't fix the problem. So I have a list of things that maybe would not be beneficial in a friend at this time, just looking at the scriptures. This cannot be fixed. A friend cannot fix the loss of a loved one. They can't replace it. They can't rationalize it. It can't be fixed. They can't correct it. A friend who comes in and tries to correct your thinking, if you're sitting there cursing the day that your mom, birthed you and why did you live that day? That's what Job did, and his friends didn't correct it. So sometimes that's how processing grief can be ugly, and we don't really need anyone to correct that. If we need to be corrected, I'm very convinced that the Holy Spirit will do that. So a friend should not fix, they should not correct. Thirdly, I don't think a friend should be angry. Job was never angry. He said, shall we accept good and not bad? He's accepting all that's come his way, and the scripture says, don't sin in your anger. So if you have a friend who comes in and is angry, if I had somebody come into my life that was angry at cancer because it took my daughter, that would not be helpful to me. That would not lead to healing and forgiveness. So we don't need friends to be angry. We don't need to place blame, I don't need anyone to tell me that a vaccination gave my daughter cancer, or if I had caught it a week sooner, that she would be here, or if I had done something different, or if I had sought experimental treatment. You don't need blame. You don't need guilt. So friends that bring these sort of what ifs or reasoning to what's happened, that's not healthy either. And lastly, this is a little bit of both. Talking. Those friends, when they were the most beneficial to Job, they were not talking. Job goes on to have long conversations with his friends, and when his friends started to speak, they actually started to have problems. So sometimes being silent and listening to the griever speak is the best thing. So if you have lost somebody and your heart is burdened, I encourage you and I implore you to find somebody who can sit with you, who can listen to you process what you're going through, but they themselves don't add anything to it. They let you go through it the way God is leading you. Now you might say, I don't need a friend. I have my husband. I have my wife. I have my mom, I have my dad. And all those are great people, and their family, and they're grieving too, and that's wonderful. But I'm going to say that it is beneficial to have somebody who is outside of your grief when you are grieving. My husband, I could not have done it without him. We grieve differently, we process differently, and if we're both in a hard place, sometimes being together was more painful. Sometimes you need somebody outside of the pain to listen to your pain objectively. Sometimes if you are with somebody who's in the pain, neither one of you can hear what the other one is saying because it's not matching where the other one is at. Grief is raw, it is unpredictable, and so I would encourage you to find somebody outside of it for those reasons. Now, Romans 12:12 says, "Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer." And I want to focus on that middle part. Again, I'm going to go back to Job's friends sat in the dirt for 7 days and 7 nights. I encourage you to sit down for 7 minutes and do nothing. That's difficult. Can you imagine doing that for 7 days and 7 nights? So be patient with yourself. Be patient with others. Grief is long, arduous, and difficult, but it can be done. So give yourself lots of grace, lots of patience, and ask the Lord to walk with you. Thank you guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope you can find somebody that can do the hard work with you. And I pray that God's blessing will be upon you and that friend. I'll see you next time.